files.
Yeah, we had them couriered over. And listen, good work. They're a great start. We're just going to have to spend a little time filling in the holes in your research.
Excuse me, Teresa, is it? There are no holes in my research.
No offense. There's just some things we need that you probably didn't know to ask.
Don't talk to me like I'm an idiot, okay? I may not have a law degree, but I've spent 18 months on this case, and I know more about these plaintiffs than you ever will.
Erin, you don't even have phone numbers for some of them.
Whose number do you need?
Everyone's. This is a lawsuit. We need to be able to contact the plaintiffs.
I said, whose number do you need?
You don't know 600 plaintiffs' numbers by heart. Annabelle Daniels.
Annabelle Daniels, 714. Shrunk it with radiation after that. Her parents are Ted and Rita. Ted's got Crohn's disease. Rita has chronic headaches and nausea and underwent a hysterectomy last fall. Ted grew up in Hinckley. His brother Robbie and his wife May and their 5 children, Robbie Jr., Martha, Ed, Rose, and Peter, also lived on the plume. Their number is 454-9554. You want their diseases?
Okay, look, I think we got off on the wrong foot here.
That's all you got, lady. 2 wrong feet in fucking ugly shoes.
Hey guys, hope you're doing good today. Subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. This is Erin Brockovich. You remember the movie? There was a lady who sued Hinckley, California for the chemical poisoning that they caused, and that's not alleged. That's a fact, because the real Erin Brockovich that Julia Roberts portrayed in this movie is a real live, in my opinion, superhero. She fights for the people who can't fight for themselves. She gets out there and she does what has to be done. She has passion. She has heart. And she cares. And she's heading to East Palestine, Ohio, guys. And she's PO'd. Watch till the end. You might learn something you didn't know.
Began. Consumer advocate Erin Brockovich joining us live tonight. Erin, a friend of the show, welcome back. It is good to see you.
Hi, Natasha. It's nice to see you.
And Erin, you and I were in person last week. NewsNation, the first network to speak with you about this disaster as you were getting those hundreds of messages from residents who were afraid, who were concerned. What are those residents telling you now?
They are more concerned and more frustrated now than they were in the beginning because there's such an inconsistent messaging coming to them, whether it be from Norfolk Railroad or their state EPA or their state representatives or the federal U.S. EPA. At this point, they don't know who to believe. And at this point, I don't think they're trusting anybody. They're so concerned. They feel like nobody's listening to them. We may know a lot, but there's more we don't know that will still continue to unfold. And these people in this community are almost a pawn in between some political agency, corporate scenario, and they're just left there to fend for themselves at this point.
Erin, do you trust the EPA and the all clear that they gave?
No, I might be the wrong person to ask about that. I've been doing this for 30 years, so I've seen too many things that have slipped by or too many loopholes, but I don't know how anyone can trust them when, A, they're awful late to the game. There was just a real quiet moment on February 3rd when the train derailment happened to February 6th when they lit it on fire, which, by the way, they dug a hole and put all the chemicals into that hole and lit it on fire. So 2 things happened at that moment. A, we have a toxic cloud full of chemicals that has fallen out a great distance. We still don't know what that exact distance is. and you've now contaminated the groundwater. And there's so much that has to be done, Natasha, before we're going to get true answers. We still don't see the raw data. We need to begin remediation. We have to set up monitors for where this groundwater plume will or won't move. We need to talk about soil vapor intrusion. There's a lot that has to come into play. And here they are, almost 3 weeks now, just starting to get them some FEMA help. And we still really don't have a lot of answers.
Did officials let the residents go back to their homes too soon?
You know, there was a letter that came out from the U.S. EPA to Norfolk Southern Railroad, that was stating it was known, yes, known, that vinyl chloride, other chemicals were released. But the sentence goes on to say, and those chemicals continue to be released into the air, into the soil, and into the water. That, I'm not sure why. Again, not seeing their raw data. What's your detection limit? What are you finding? What are you looking for? That gives you a real warm, fuzzy feeling that it's safe to return if it's ongoing.
And Erin, I want to watch the short clip with you quickly. This is News Nation's Rich McHugh showing what looks like a clear creek called Leslie Run, and we can actually start running this now. But watch him rake that stick through it. And you can see sort of these rainbows rise to the surface here. What do you see with your experience when you look at this video?
Well, there's a lot of things that could be going on there. One, we have to remember in this huge black cloud, there's going to be dioxin. So this soot, if you will, is going to fall out into the creeks, onto the rooftops, onto the cars, get in the attic dust, get in the household dust. It's going to be everywhere. Some of that could be that sediment that settled at the bottom. Some of it could be from the fallout of the VOCs. So without having a test, it appears that these things that have fallen out, a variety of chemicals, land on the water and then can settle to the bottom. And so all of it's very concerning to these communities, and it should be. It's very concerning to the health and welfare of them and their children. They're very concerned for the future. They don't know what any of this means, and it's very concerning to the entire ecosystem. And listen, this could be something, a situation where Norfolk Southern Railroad made a bad situation 100 times worse that this community and the ecosystem could see the fallout of for decades.
And Rich also in his report speaking with a woman who is developing those rashes after showering. Now, Governor Mike DeWine and the EPA says the water is drinkable, the air is safe. Who should residents believe here? What should they be doing?
My first and foremost concern is these people. And in the absence of any other information, they are the very ones living there, breathing the air, exposed to the soils, and experiencing these symptoms. They have got to rely on their instincts. I have seen this over and over and over again play itself out through the United States. And it's the one thing that nobody wants to listen to. What is happening to the people? They need to be their own citizen scientist, if you will. Nobody knows their health and their family better than they do. If you feel unsafe, leave. You need to wipe down the houses. You need to take protections. If you're not feeling well, go to the doctor. If you're evacuated and you don't want to come back, don't. Really stay in tune to your instincts. You are the ones breathing it and living in this moment. You have to trust and stand with what it is you know you're experiencing.
And our News Nation investigative reporter, Rich McHugh, again on the ground this week, and he was reporting that Norfolk Southern may have been going door to door in that community after the burn, asking residents to sign a form before they would check their house for toxins. What would your advice be surrounding signing any kind of paperwork from Norfolk Southern right now?
I wouldn't do that. And I've seen this happen in way too many communities. They know what's coming, and shame on them. to try and take advantage of this community, because you don't know what you're signing. You may be signing all your rights away, and I absolutely would not do that.
Yeah, and I should mention Norfolk Southern saying that it was a mistake, that it was a mistaken batch of forms that went out. They say that no one has actually signed away their legal rights. But, you know, something that really struck me when we were talking last week, you shared that through all of the work that you had done after these disasters at toxic carcinogenic sites like Hinckley, California, you have personally dealt with health effects and constant monitoring now. What do you want people to know about these kinds of chemical disasters and how real these health effects can be?
They are definitely very real. This isn't we're not overreacting. I can just tell you from the past 30 years in my career, we have a deep systemic problem here, especially with our environmental issues, how we treat our land and our air and our water. And we've got this idea that if we just continue to kick the can down the line and ignore what many of these issues are, which is antiquated and failing infrastructure, antiquated and outdated policies, and not address it, we're just going to get further and further into trouble. This is real. This is happening. I've never experienced in my 30 years a situation like this Ohio trail derailment. We are going to watch this unfold, this environmental disaster, in real time. Live real time. And this isn't the first time it's happened. It has happened over and over again. And if we don't pivot and change our infrastructures, antiquated systems, and start protecting the environment, we're at a fork in the road. We're going to head the wrong way, and you can expect many more of these disasters.
And Erin, my very last question for you in just about 20 seconds. You are headed to East Palestine this week. What are you going to do to help the residents? What are you going to do on the ground?
So we're going to go out there and have a meeting, a town hall for them on Friday. We want to hear every question they have, and we're going to answer every question the best that we can. And if we can't, we're going to tell them we don't know, but we will find out. We will be there to answer any questions they have about health. We'll have doctors there, what their concerns are. They do want to know about their legal rights. We will give them all that information that they can utilize that will help them make the best decisions and choices for themselves, their family, and their health.
Do you have a message?
So we'll be out there next Friday.
Do you have a message for Norfolk Southern? Do you want them to show up to this town hall this time?
Just classic. But you can't trust anything they say, period.
Erin Brockovich, thank you again for being here. It is always good to see you. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Nice to see you again.
And guys, here we have, I know everybody, the government likes to call us conspiracy theories because we think that something weird or heinous, malicious is going on with the train derailment and stuff. But it's not just us conspiracy theorists. Here's a hazardous waste expert that Tucker Carlson has on Fox News and does an interview with. Listen to what he has to say.
How bad is this? I mean, it does take some experience with the chemistry to really know that. Caggiano is an expert in this. He's a hazardous waste authority. He says the town of East Palestine has effectively been nuked. He joins us tonight to explain what that means. So I appreciate your coming on. How do you, having spent your life assessing things like chemical spills, how do you assess the condition of East Palestine tonight?
It's very troublesome. These poor individuals, through no fault of their own, became victims of systemic failures within the rail transportation system, and it manifested itself in this mushroom cloud that they had to experience in their town. One of the reasons why I made the comment about, we nuked a town with chemicals is because there was somebody from Darlington, Pennsylvania, who was videoing the cloud that had went over his property, and you could see fallout coming out of the cloud going onto his property. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, it reminds you of one of those apocalyptic shows where the nuclear fallout's coming out. And I thought about it, I says, well, yeah, we basically did nuke a whole town just to get a railroad going, back in service. And earlier on, I got involved in this because news media were not being told the truth. Days into this, no, train consist was available. They didn't know what they had. And that flies in the face of logic. If you're going to mitigate a problem, if you're going to have your fire department and other responding teams take care of it, you should know what the heck you've got. And it got to the point where they were showing me pictures of train cars, the local media, and I was identifying what was in based on UNID numbers or train car numbers. And when they told me their plan, at that point you had a few cars burning. They had unmonitored hand lines there keeping the tankers cool. And then I find out that they're pulling the unmonitored hand lines, keeping the tankers cool. I said, well, that's just going to cause the tanker cars to heat up, which they did. And then they announced that one was very near catastrophic failure. And I said, well, if they don't put water back on it, it's going to continue to heat up, and it's going to what's called a blevy, and it's going to damage other containers. And then I was told, no, they're going to detonate all these cars so that it doesn't happen. I could tell you, Mr. Carlson, I've been looking at rail incidents over and over because in Youngstown, Ohio, there's 3 rail lines that run through our town. So as a chief and as a instructor, I trained my guys to anticipate stuff. And I would go case study after case study after case study, coming up with different scenarios just to keep it going. And I've never once in 39 years ever heard of them blowing up train cars, right, dumping all the chemicals into a trench and lighting them on fire. I was dumbfounded. Yeah. And, when you lit this stuff on fire, you were creating phosgenes, you were creating hydrogen chlorides, you created this plume, and up in this plume was all the incomplete combustion products of everything that was there. Stuff, if you looked at the guy's video, stuff is precipitating down into people's property. There's a lot of questions, and the answers came slow. And, first you get, well, now we found vinyl chlorides in the water. Well, yeah. No joke, you're going to find that. And it seemed like everything was drips and dribbles. Instead of, one of the things I learned is you tell the truth, you tell it all, you tell it first, and you tell them how you're going to solve the problem. And none of that was forthcoming. And I began to worry about, what the end result with this was going to be. They had evacuated 1 mile, and I was telling the media they better do like 1.5, 2 miles. Well, subsequently after that, they went to 2 miles. And then within a few minutes, a few days, they were bringing everybody back. And that was pretty much just in time to open up the rails. And there was no testing. There's got to be some plan going forward in this cleanup and recovery to test. Yeah. I mean, if you find asbestos in your building, you contain and remove it. You don't blow it into the next county. It just seems self-evidently insane. Sil, I appreciate your coming on tonight. That was really, really interesting and sad. Thank you.
Well, you heard what that gentleman had to say. And the other day when I put out my first video over this train derailment, Bob G, Wayfairing Spirits from YouTube, as you can see in front of you, sent me or commented on my video and said they were handing out free digital medical ID bracelets to all the residents of East Palestine, Ohio, just days before the train derailment. Imagine that. Well, my question back to him was, where did you hear this from? Because that's, unbelievable. Well, then another friend sent me the following video from Shogun, and listen up to what he says and the news article that he plays. And then I'll be back with you when it's done.
Who wrote out this little digital ID plan themselves. Let's watch this clip, and then I'll be right back with my thoughts.
A small town to make a big impact.
Yeah, East Palestine's excited to make an important medical device available to all 4,700 residents. I told you about it in October, and Sunday there's a special meeting to share more or start signing up.
The My ID program is ready to roll out in East Palestine.
It's a medical information system which helps first responders provide care.
And it gives us that rapid information that we may need should somebody be unresponsive or having some kind of medical emergency.
My ID provides wearable devices or key fobs which have QR codes. Emergency responders use a camera phone to access important medical information. It shows them the underlying medical conditions you've supplied about allergies, medications, even emergency contacts. That information could impact treatment decisions if a person can't say it. All of the information is HIPAA compliant. My ID is available in East Palestine and Unity Township. The fire department will demonstrate it to other departments which provide backup. My ID can be used anywhere. Sunday, residents can learn more during a special meeting at the East Palestine Community Center.
We want to bring people in to get signed up to pick their device that they want, and just so we can see who all is interested in it.
People who are ready can sign up and pick their device. It's free. The village has $5,000 in donations to cover the first phase of 250 devices.
Anybody that's skeptical, please come on down, sit down, talk to us. We'll be happy to show you everything that goes on with it. We'll be happy to show you how secure it is.
Now, people who sign up Sunday could get their devices within a couple weeks, and that's when My ID will go live. Any phone camera.
Is it just me, or does this start making this whole situation look like one sick experiment? And to be clear, I have to be careful what I say here. I'm not saying that this is all one big sick experiment. I'm just saying that it's starting to look that way. And if you don't understand what they were saying, they're rolling out, they had this plan, this experimental plan, I guess, out of everywhere in America. We're going to go to East Palestine, Ohio, and give out these wristbands, these digital IDs, so you can track your breathing and other different, medical problems over time. And it just so happens that y'all rolled out this plan in East Palestine, Ohio, of all places, a place that can't even get any medical relief right now. They can't get any money. They can't get any relief from our government as we speak. But for some odd reason, this town was the chosen town to roll out the digital IDs. They're having town meetings weeks and months before the train derailment, before the catastrophe. Hey, everyone, come down to the town hall. Let's all get together. We'll show you how to work your little digital IDs. Let's go ahead and get as many of you, out here as possible so we can track your health in the future. When we blow up that train. Oh, wait. I think we said too much. I think we've said too much.
There you go, guys. There's 3 different instances where people believe there is something nefarious going on with this train derailment. Now, you put that stuff together with the fact that they made a movie similar to, close to, in prediction of this all the way back last year called White Noise. In fact, one of the people that lives in Palestine, Ohio, right now was an extra in that movie. I did a report on what he had to say in my other video. So you can always go back and listen to it, find out what the guy's name is and stuff. But to me, guys, like I've said before, and I'll say it again, and it's not just this one instance. It had to do with the whole year of 2020 and everything going on there. Just to mention one other instance, there's tons of things that the government has done to make me believe this is population control. They're trying to figure out a way to actually have population control, a way that will work in mass production, to deal with mass populations. I mean, my thoughts and theories on this goes all the way back to Hurricane Katrina and how long it took the government to step in and do something and help how many people passed away. I mean, I even have my own thoughts on that one date with the big towers, you know, that we're not allowed to mention or we get flagged. Yeah, that specific date. I have my own theories on it because I watched news articles that plainly said who was responsible for it. And it wasn't the people that everybody was blaming. It was people right here in the United States that are in charge of our country. But that's just my opinion. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Y'all know that. But these theories don't always just come out of thin air, guys. There are usually reasons for my thoughts and my ideas and my theories. You just have to listen and read between the lines. Anyway, that's my video for today. I hope you've watched till the end. I greatly appreciate it if you have. May God be with you. Love your children. Call your parents up, talk with them, and never take for granted the next day is coming. Because as we've been seeing a lot lately, we don't always know that tomorrow's going to be here. I'll see you on the next video.